Hello and welcome to episode 64 of the Footy with Fletch podcast. In this episode, I'm joined by Collingwood AFLW young gun, Lucy Cronin. Lucy was selected by Collingwood with pick 9 in the 2023 AFLW draft and has played 11 AFLW games. She was runner-up in Collingwood's AFLW Best and Fairest in her first season in the AFLW. Hello Lucy, thanks for joining me. How are you doing?
Hi, good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I guess first thing first, which AFL or AFLW side did you support growing up?
I was originally a Carlton supporter, so definitely had to switch sides when I got drafted to the Pies, but yeah, grew up barracking for the Blues.
Now, this is where it's interesting because I'm a Carlton supporter as well. What is it like growing up a Blues supporter but then moving to the arch rival Collingwood?
I think originally, like a little bit of you wants to kind of support both, but as soon as you kind of get into the four walls of the Pies, it's very much like you're just surrounded by it all. And I think, yeah, you really embrace the culture at the club, and it makes you feel like that's really where you're meant to be in your new home. So I guess Dad probably still has a bit of a soft spot in his heart for them, but yeah, fully on board with the Pies now.
And what sports did you play growing up?
Um, I was a basketballer as a kid. Played lots of basketball, went through all the rep systems in the teenage kind of years. Played just down at Hawthorn Magic for most of my rep basketball years. And then when I was at school, I also rowed. So I was a rower, which was an interesting experience. But yeah, mostly played footy all the way through kind of since I was 11 or 12 as well. So I was kind of always doing footy as well as the other sports that I was doing. But yeah, those were the other main two that I got serious about.
And you played your junior footy with the Q Comets. How was your time with the Comets and how did you find it?
Yeah, so just played up the road from my place, which was really good for me, just to be really immersed in the community of it all. And my family's been really involved with it all most of the time that I went through from about, I think, under 11s or under 12s, which was awesome. We're very we're a very good team from a very young age. So it was interesting to kind of be a part of a club that or a team that we literally never lost. It was really kind of quite an odd experience that not many people probably get to have. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I had some of my best friends in my team. I was coached by like some of my teammates' dads, which was also fun. And it was all, yeah, it was just a really good experience, I think, like being so involved in community from such a young age and being able to kind of get all my experience from the Q Comets was awesome because they've really invested in me.
And in under 12s, you were coached by the current AFL CEO, Andrew Dillon and Paul O'Sullivan. What was it like to be coached by Andrew and Paul?
Yeah, Andrew and Paul were amazing coaches. I mean, they were just two great role models for us girls. I think we are probably a hard bunch of kids to coach, never really listened as much as we should have. But yeah, Paul was our head coach, and then Dills was our assistant, and they worked together really well. They, obviously really involved with us girls, but also really involved with the parents and like really wanting us to just get the most out of footy. Obviously, girls' footy hadn't been around for long when we started, so it's probably the first or second year of junior footy being available even for girls. So yeah, it was awesome just to have that experience from such a young age and being able to go through the next couple of years with them was, yeah, it was awesome.
And you joined the Oakleigh Chargers in 2022. What was that process like to join the Chargers?
So basically just after COVID, really, I got the call down to come train with the girls. I think even the end of the 2021 season, I was training with them just to like see how it would go and things. And then obviously the 2022 season, I came and actually played more seriously and was a part of the squad and everything. So that was kind of a process of, I guess, just being kind of seen through the Comets games that I'd been playing, and then getting to debut. I think was my the Tasmanian game was my debut back in 2022. So it feels like a long time ago, but it was yeah, it was awesome to be part of the Chargers, especially getting a good 2 years at the to be playing and part of the NAB and Coates League. It was yeah, a great experience.
And you played in a number of different positions in your first season with the Chargers back in 2022. What positions did you play in?
I think honestly, I played every position apart from the wing that year. So I was playing, yeah, and a little bit of inside mid, but not really. I was playing mostly if I was in the midfield, I was playing ruck, or mostly either forward or back line. But yeah, I was playing kind of as a secondary ruck because we didn't really have anyone that year that could fill that role as a tall. Started off, I think, as a defender and then moved through the forward line a little bit, but yeah, definitely played a little bit of everywhere.
And then in 2022, the off season of the Coates Talent League, you unfortunately ruptured your ACL. Talk me through how hard the rehab, the recovery, and just suffering that injury was for you.
Yeah, I think I ended up doing it playing in a game of just local footy. Went into a contest and just felt it go. And I think I never really experienced a big injury like that before. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. Even just getting scans and all that stuff, I did not think that it would be an ACL. I think a lot of people around me probably did and didn't want to tell me. But yeah, when I found out, it was shocking to me, but I also kind of was so ignorant to what the process would be like that I didn't even really like comprehend how hard it would be, to be honest. I think I did it during a time where I was both lucky and unlucky to do it at the time I did. I think they moved the Coates League season later, so it meant that I got to pretty much get most of my draft year playing games. But on the other hand, I also didn't have the support from the club to do my rehab with them because it was such a long off season. So I mostly had to do it all externally and only really had the support from like external physios and then obviously like my family and friends and things. Um, it was yeah, it was a long and hard process, but I think in many ways it was something that probably allowed me to tap into a side of like my fitness and kind of strength that I'd never really tried to do before. So it obviously has its negatives, but I probably wouldn't also be here without the hardship that I had to go through to get back to footy and kind of realize how much that I did actually want to get drafted and work to get back to playing footy and playing my best. Um, Obviously, like coming into my draft year and having missed a few games, I really just was focusing on enjoying my footy and trying to do my best for the team and play my role. And I think that actually allowed me to play a little bit more freely and really get my hands on the footy, especially like later into the year. So yeah, in many ways it was a bit of a blessing in disguise. It kind of taught me a lot of lessons that I think helped me to get to where I am now.
And how much footy did you miss in your draft year as well, for those who might not be aware?
I think it ended up being I actually tore my ACL in I think it was May of 2022, and I ended up coming back into full training by about March of the next year. So I ended up only missing maybe 4 games of my draft year because of the way that the community break, we had community breaks in that season, which meant that I only missed a few before the community break, which was really lucky.
And you also missed out on the under 18 national championships. What was it like to deal with missing out on that in your draft year?
I think obviously at the time I was pretty disappointed. It's definitely been something that I wanted to strive towards for most of the time I was at Oakleigh was something that was probably a goal of mine. But then when I did do my knee, I kind of put it aside a little bit. I just wanted to focus more on like getting back to playing my best footy. And I think honestly, by the time that the trials came around, as much as I was grateful that I was trialing for the team, I also wasn't expecting too much that I would actually be chosen in the final squad just because I'd only played, I think, 2 games or even one before getting the call up to the trial game. So it was obviously really disappointing, but I had a lot of support through my coaches at Oakleigh that meant that they really supported me to play my best footy while the Metro girls were going off to play in those tournaments. So it kind of allowed me to kind of step up while those girls were gone and show people what I could do and like that I could step up to that level, I guess, when probably the girls that were leading the way in that area weren't um, available those weeks.
And then in your draft year, you played 13 games, averaging 12.6 disposals and 1.1 marks per game. What did you make of the footy that you did play in your draft year with the Chargers?
I think so obviously we had a very, very strong team during that year, and it was really important that we all kind of just played our role and didn't want to almost overshine each other. I think it was a big thing that like even though obviously it's a talent program that we also really wanted to strive for success amongst our group. And I think that allowed me to really like tap into the role of that intercepting defender that I thought that I could play pretty well. I think I probably wasn't overly like not that I was disappointed, but I definitely thought that I probably had more potential left in me, which was a good thing as well, I guess, like to know that I didn't tap into my full potential during that year and then to still be able to strive for more after I'd been drafted was something that excited me. I definitely felt like, yeah, I had another level to give. But yeah, definitely thought that the way that I was trained and coached throughout the year allowed me to have a lot of freedom throughout the defense and the back line and even just to like work with the other girls and the defenders. We had a really good group that year that I think really solidified our place in the grand final and the premiership that we ended up achieving, which was pretty awesome. But yeah, I think definitely was excited by the fact that I didn't think that I gave it all in that year.
And you mentioned the premiership. What was it like to win the flag with the Chargers back in 2023?
Yeah, I think it was obviously something that we always knew we'd be kind of striving for that year. We had a really solid group and like especially led by, or not led by, but a lot of the girls that were coming through in the bottom age year were really solid in our team, and I think that meant that we knew that we had the potential to go all the way. We obviously made it through most of the season, not completely undefeated, but pretty much, and so I think that was a little bit of pressure almost because I think we always knew that that was the expectation almost. But yeah, just such a great group of girls that year that I think we all almost had that feeling that we wanted to win for each other, which was yeah awesome, and it was just one of the best experiences to be able to play the grand final on Icon Park against Eastern, and it was a really close game, obviously, but yeah, it was one definitely a special experience.
And at halftime, scores were tied in that grand final before the Chargers kicked 3 goals in the third term. What did you make of the side's third term and to sort of break away from the Eastern Rangers?
Yeah, you're testing me now, thinking back all the way to then, but yeah, I think at halftime it was almost like this belief that we knew we could get it done. Like we all had so much belief and trust in each other that it was something that we could do, and I think that was mostly what got us over the line. Obviously, Eastern they had a extremely talented list as well. So it wasn't really a matter of who was better individually wise, but more I think that we could work together and we trusted each other so much that we knew that we could, yeah, finish it off, hopefully.
And what clubs interviewed you in the lead up to the 2023 AFLW draft?
I think most I'd nominated for Victoria. So back when you could obviously nominate state-wise, most of the Victorian clubs had interviewed me, but yeah, I really had no idea what it would end up like.
So I guess from having no idea, you didn't have an inkling that the Pies were going to select you then, Lucy?
I'd obviously talked to the Pies earlier on, but I think I kind of was, yeah, I don't know. I didn't have too much of an idea exactly where I'd go. I kind of had equal interest from a lot of different clubs. So by the time that I definitely didn't think I'd go with pick nine, that's for sure. So I wasn't really expecting that the Pies would pick me up when I was watching the draft. Obviously, I didn't think that they would pick me up that early, so I didn't know that this is where I'd end up. But yeah, it was pretty awesome to be picked up when I did, and to the Pies as well.
And you watched the AFLW draft from home. How did you find the draft experience?
Yeah, I had a few of my close friends come over for the draft night just to keep me company and kind of have dinner as we were watching it, expecting might be a few hours before my name gets called out. So it was a pretty big shock to be picked in the top 10. I think, yeah, we weren't even really paying that close of attention to who was getting picked in those spots. Obviously, like I didn't really go through the Metro or All Australian programs, so I knew a good amount of the girls, but was really looking for like obviously my teammates and the girls I knew, and did not expect that I'd be going as early as I did. So to hear my name at pick nine was pretty shocking, and yeah, definitely exciting.
And what was it like when you had finally been selected with pick nine and realising that you're going to play for Collingwood?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a surreal moment. You don't really know how you'll react until you're in the moment. Um, it's pretty it's pretty emotional, but also I think because I was so shocked to go so early, that emotion kind of didn't hit me till a little bit later, where I was just like obviously so grateful to have been picked up at all. Um, Obviously getting picked up to a club like Collingwood is just such a amazing opportunity, and I think I obviously got to meet Britt and Bree that night, which was super exciting. And just to have the club embrace my family so quickly was something really like super special. And I knew that I'd always feel like I was at home there.
And what was it like when Britt Benici and Bree Davey did turn up on your doorstep on draft night?
I think back to it now, and it's so funny because obviously I know the girl so well now, but back then I was so shell shocked. I honestly was just so excited to meet them both. Like obviously, in the years leading into the draft, I'd watched it um pretty closely, and to have those two especially come to my house was something that was super exciting. And yeah, it almost felt like a dream. But yeah, it was awesome.
And you played 6 VFLW games for the Pies last year. What did you make of the opportunity to play it at VFLW level?
I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good thing to do, especially for me coming in through the VFL allowed me to really settle myself at the club. It's a really united program between the VFL and AFLW girls, or it was last year at least anyway. I think it was really good because obviously you play such a long season in your draft year. You're really involved in footy from almost January through to September if you include the preseason stuff. So to have such a long break, I think would have definitely been a bit of a struggle for me. So to be able to like get some more consistent footy, especially off the back of doing my ACL, and just wanting to have some consistent games and things at like a bit of a higher level with bigger bodies and like a different standard was really good. I think it gave me the experience and the confidence to come into the AFLW preseason with motivation and a bit of confidence in how I train and go about things. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was definitely an experience that I am grateful for.
And you had an injury issue throughout your first pre-season at AFLW level, missing 2 months. You spent 2 months in rehab. What injury were you dealing with during pre-season last year?
Yeah, I spent just over 2 months in rehab, rehabbing a stress fracture I had in my right leg, my right tibia, so in my shin. It just kind of came from an overload perspective, just obviously getting used to the level and training and everything, something that I didn't expect to happen to me. But yeah, it was definitely tough, especially in your first year. You want to come in and just like give it your all and hit the ground running. But yeah, I don't know. It was definitely a learning experience, and I think it was good almost in some aspects to have gone through that experience, just so that I can know what it's like in the future and not to be scared of it. Um, but yeah, it was obviously tough being in your first year, going through that and missing trial games and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was something that I did get a lot of positives from as well.
And there was a video of how you were told you would be making your AFLW debut on the Collingwood AFLW social media pages. What was it like to be told by your parents that you would be making your AFLW debut? It must have been a really special experience for you.
Yeah, it was super special. I think we had a bit of a theme going through the preseason about climbing Everest, and that, getting up to Everest was round one. And obviously missing all of the preseason games and most of the training. I'd only returned to full training the week of round one, pretty much, or the week before. So honestly, not expecting to be playing round one. I barely would have expected to play round one, even if I was fully fit for all of preseason. So it was super surprising. I think that was one of the things, like, to have them in there was awesome, but also I was just so shocked as well. Um, yeah, and my parents are my biggest supporters as well. So it was just so nice to have them part of it. And the club obviously is so good at involving your family and everything. So yeah, it was awesome to have them there. It meant a lot.
And you made your AFLW debut in round one last year against the Swans. What did you make of your first game at AFLW level and settling in to AFLW footy?
Yeah, it was I definitely think back on it now, and it's a little bit hard to remember almost, because it was just so much of a new experience. It was such a whirlwind of emotion. It was an amazing experience. I think playing round one is something that I'm hoping that I'll get to do for the rest of my career, because it's just the best experience, especially going up to Sydney and having such an amazing environment, and the fans and all the whole spectacle was awesome. But debuting was definitely something I was a little bit nervous, I'd say, because I didn't really know what to expect. But I definitely, coaches were really good at allowing me to kind of tap into my like really defensive role, and I was kind of put on Privatelli for the game to kind of lock her down, which I think coming into a debut was a good option, just because it allowed me to have a real target and a real role to play, um, which meant that I really knew what I was doing and I never really felt lost at all. I mean, the girls were awesome at the chat, and everything was just so good on the field that it made me feel really comfortable. And I don't think there was really any moment that I didn't feel at place. I mean, obviously there's times where you feel nervous, but I definitely felt like um yeah, I had a place on the field, and it was just really exciting and awesome.
And in week four, you were nominated for the AFLW Rising Star Award after a fantastic performance against the Western Bulldogs. You had 20 disposals and 7 marks. What did you make of that performance, and what was it like to be nominated for the AFLW Rising Star Award?
Yeah, I think just previously to that game, we'd kind of been discussing um how we were going to go about, like, our in our oppo meetings, how we are going to go about playing the dogs. And we knew that they rolled one up to the forward up to the stoppage, and so we'd have a defensive spare behind the ball. And I think that was the first game that I'd been given the opportunity to kind of play a little bit more freely through the back line. And so it was definitely a new experience for me at AFLW level, but it was exciting to be able to play that more loose and free role and to get into positions where I thought that I could intercept. I think obviously we were super disappointed with the loss that week, but being nominated for the Rising Star that week was, I think it just really solidified the idea that I could play at the level, and that yeah, if I wanted to, I can continue to kind of put up those performances. And I think it allowed me to show that I had that in me, almost, that I could play both the role of like that lockdown defender, but also as more of a free floating defender as well.
And you played in every game in your first AFLW season. How important do you think that was for your development as a footballer?
Yeah, I was super lucky to be able to play the whole season. I think it was I think now, like, obviously playing the whole season was super valuable. I'm now able to kind of come into an off season where I can really focus on getting fit and strong, and hopefully hitting preseason well. And yeah, I think being able to have a whole preseason off the back of playing a full season of footy will be really great for my development. And yeah, I'm just super excited to be able to continue, hopefully next year, play. Obviously we've got 12 games now, all 12, and then hopefully we're hitting finals as well. But yeah, I think being able to play them all was just super valuable, and I don't think I would have kind of gone to the level I did by the end of the year if I didn't have those early games to kind of find my feet.
And you were rewarded runner-up in Collingwood's AFLW Best and Fairest last season. What was it like to be named runner-up in your first season in the AFLW?
Yeah, it was super special, I think. I seriously had no inkling that that'd be how it would pan out. I think in your first year, you kind of just go into everything and you just want to do your best and play your role for the team. Obviously, like, had a lot of praise from inside the four walls, but I was really grateful to, yeah, to be able to be recognized by the club in that way. And I definitely felt the love from all my teammates and coaches and everything. And the club was really, yeah, really good at kind of showing showing me that I deserved it. I think a little bit of me kind of felt coming in on your first year and coming second was a little bit wrong in a way, but yeah, I was super grateful to everyone and how they helped me to get through that. It was awesome.
And you were also selected in the under 22 side in your maiden season. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, that was an awesome accolade. I think there's obviously so many amazing young players coming through the ranks at the moment, and it's like under 22 years of age. There's a massive pool of girls that have come through in the last few years that definitely deserve to be there. But yeah, I think Geordie Allen was the one that let me know through the Instagram and that kind of thing. So she was the last one from our Pies group to be in the under 22 squad, and I think now to have that have that accolade and be able to hopefully strive towards it for the next few years is something that's super exciting. And yeah, I was super grateful to be recognised in that way.
And you signed a contract extension at the Pies, which will see you remain at the club until at least the end of 2027. Why did you decide to sign on with Collingwood?
I think obviously having such a um, good year personally and being able to play my role for the team this year is something that for the next few years I really want to bring everyone like along. And I think we have such potential in our list. We've got new coaching staff through, like, obviously new head coach in Sam last year. Just the belief he has in our group and where he can take us. I think um, yeah, I see so much potential for our group for the future, and I really want to be a part of hopefully some success. I guess you can't really go. I I mean, we've obviously faced a lot of adversity through last year, and a lot of um, that came through injury. And I just really want to be a part of the club when we get the success that I think we have the potential to find.
And in the off-season, you went to Tennant Creek for Collingwood's inaugural culture immersion program. What did you make of that experience?
Yeah, that's definitely something I'd never really thought that I'd be a part of in my first year. But flying up to the NT was a very, very special experience. I think we obviously did a lot of training with the boys, which was awesome, but more from the community perspective and getting to connect with the people up in Tennant Creek was super special. I think there's so much talent through the kids up there, and yeah, getting to see like almost how lucky we are and put everything into perspective, where we are in Melbourne and getting to be part of the biggest club in Victoria and everything like that. It's just yeah, it's really important that we go and we pay back what we owe almost to those people. And yeah, just all the communities up in Tennant Creek and the NT really obviously value us coming up there. And I think, yeah, we learned so much, not only from the communities, but also just from the boys program and getting to see how they went about things, which was awesome. So yeah, just on all fronts, like footy wise and personally, yeah, it meant a lot to be able to go and join everyone on that trip.
And there's quite a lengthy off-season in the AFLW. How have you spent the off-season to date?
Yeah, I've been obviously we've kind of been back into training a little bit on and off throughout the whole time, but I've tried to get around to visit a few of my friends interstate, which has been really nice. And then just spending time with family and friends has been really important over Christmas and New Year's and things like that. So yeah, just getting to spend time with obviously the people that you probably don't get to as much when you're in season, and really, yeah, valuing the time off we get. It's obviously a really long time, but over January, it's really nice to kind of take a little bit of a break and then, yeah, getting back into it all now, which is really exciting.
And are you currently studying or working part-time outside of footy? If so, what are you doing?
I just actually got accepted to a new course. I'm hoping to study nutrition science this year. I was doing a little bit of part-time stuff last year, but nothing too much in terms of work. But yeah, excited to start this new uni course, something that I hopefully aligns really well with footy and that I can, yeah, get into in the next few years and really crack into it.
Well, thank you so much, Lucy, for joining me on the podcast today. All the best of luck for the remainder of the off season, and I can't wait to see how you go with your footy in 2025. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Sledge. Thanks for having me.